In this video, I will be explaining some basic concept of nuclear chemistry. Atomic number, we know that the number of protons. Some recall about nucleus. Mass number, sum of the protons and the neutrons. And we know very well about isotopes, that is atoms with the same atomic number but different mass numbers. That is different number of neutrons. What is nucleons? Nucleons, the particles that make up the nucleus. So that is known as nucleons. So this is some basic terms and uses in nuclear chemistry. Then what is a nucleus? We know very well a nucleus are very small and very dense, and it has together with a strong force of attraction. It located of the protons and neutrons. That means the most of the mass of an atom is located. Mass defect. We know very well what is mass defect. The difference between the calculated mass and the actual mass is known as mass defect. What causes the lost mass? According to Albert Einstein, mass and energy can be converted into each other, and also some of the mass is lost during the formation of the nucleus. The amount of energy can be calculated using Einstein's famous equation. That is, we know that E equal to mc square. The energy released when a nucleus is formed from nucleons. So that is the energy E. We know that unit is joules, and what is m? M is the mass, and c is the speed of light. We know that is 3 into 10 power 8 meter per second. So that is known as the binding energy. In this binding energy, it can be tells about the stability of the nucleus. If the higher the binding energy per nucleon, the more tightly packed and more stable. The nucleons are held together, the more stable the nucleoid. That means higher the binding energy, it has the higher stability. And elements with intermediate atomic masses have the greatest binding energies per nucleon and are therefore the most stable. For example, iron is the most stable isotope. Here we are having the graph between the binding energy per nucleon in milli electron volt and mass number. If it is increasing mass number, the binding energy also increased. After that, it can be decreased. Iron has the maximum binding energy among the elements. Some of the nuclear reactions, we know that nuclear fission and nuclear fusion. That means unstable nuclei undergo spontaneous changes that change the number of protons and or neutrons. So that is, it is in a spontaneous way. Give off large amount of energy by emitting radiation during the process of radiative decay. Here we are having some examples. In these examples, the nuclear reactions are given. That examples we know considering mass number must be equal on both side of the equation. Here we are having carbon, it can be emitted electrons and nitrogen. So having carbon, we know that carbon atom number 6 and mass number 14. Electron, we know that -1 E0 and nitrogen 714. So atomic number must equal on both side of the equation. What is nuclear fission? A very heavy nucleus split into more stable nuclei of intermediate mass. So that is known as nuclear fission. It releases enormous amount of energy and occurs spontaneously or when bombarded by the particles. Then what is nuclear fusion? low mass nuclei combine to form a heavier and more stable nucleus. So that is known as nuclear fusion. It also releases more energy per gram of fuel than fission. It occurs at extremely high temperature and pressure. It also occurs in our sun and stars that are similar to our sun. Now, researchers are currently studying why to contain the reacting plasma that is required for the fusion. Thank you.